We are live, by the way. I'm just testing the audio.
Can we also spotlight Kayla Bird?
She is spotlighted. It just doesn't show up until she puts her camera on or speaks on the
Can we also spotlight Kayla Bird? Someone's got the YouTube going, huh?
Sorry, that was me to make sure everything's going well. I just said it right. We are all good to go though, when everything's ready.
Okay, is everybody here? Sam's here. Kayla, are
I
you here?
don't see Kayla.
Okay,
Oh, Kayla's right there.
perfect. Then we will get started. Good evening. My name is Mark Human, and I welcome you to the 2023 presidential debate between Speaker of the Assembly Samuel Longlet and WMU Gospel Choir Assembly member Kayla Bird. This debate is sponsored by the Election Promotions Committee, which has designed the format of this debate into two 30-minute sections, the first of which will consist of 3-minute opening statements from each candidate, followed by 4 roughly 6-minute rounds, allowing each candidate 90 seconds to respond to a question and the remaining time for open discussion. The second segment allows and encourages the audience to submit questions for our candidates through Slido. I will be monitoring questions as they are submitted and will ask them as I deem appropriate. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I, along with the Election Promotions Committee, have decided the topics of this debate and each of the questions within the topics. I can assure you that outside of the members of the Election Promotions Committee, no one has seen these questions, especially our candidates. At this moment, I would like to welcome presidential candidates Samuel Longlet and Kayla Bird. Mr. Longlet, you may commence with your opening remarks.
Thank you, Mark. So my name is Sam Longlet. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm running for student body president because I believe in change, in progress, and in a student government fully capable of representing its students. I'm not running alone, however. I have 2 wonderful slate mates. I'm running alongside my 2 best friends, Travis Melson for vice president and Alex Kasperzak for chief of staff. I first met Travis back in the old Senate last year. It wasn't until I started interviewing applicants for secretary that I learned a little bit more about him and was able to learn that we see eye to eye. When I gave those applicants the questions for the interview, the last one was the most important. What would you do if you did not get this position? Travis said what I believed at the time to be the correct answer, that I don't care. I see this position as a way of helping students, and if I don't get this position, then I'm going to continue to do that. So long story short, I chose Travis for my secretary, and ever since then, him and I have become very close friends. We're even moving in together next year. There is no one that I work better with than Travis Melson. I also met Alex last year in WSA's Old Senate. We were both the senators for the Honors College. Here I discovered in Alex a close friend. And that close friend developed into a relationship. And as our relationship grew, I found that we also had the same goals for WSA. There's no one, in my opinion, better handled to the chief of staff position than Alex Kaspersek. Our campaign's promises present solutions. It's a 3-step way of fixing some of WSA's biggest issues. Acknowledge the past, better the present, and create the future. I want to preface this by saying that I don't think in any way, shape, or form that WSA is a bad organization. I think we do amazing things. I think everyone in our cabinet has excelled in their own way, and I'm incredibly proud of what this organization is and what everyone else has done. I think of everyone in WSA as my friend. That being said, I want to change WSA's toxic culture. WSA has a certain quality about it that drags out the worst in people. This is evident in our elections, which in the past have gotten dirty. That's why my slate and I have made a promise. We will not participate in this toxicity. We will not be part of the drama, and we will do the best that we can on our current positions and on the campaign trail to better WSA. I think that WSA's foundations need a little love. Every year, campaigns go in front of RSOs and the greater student body and promise grand things. And I think that if we spend a little more time on ourselves, these grand things can become great. I want to lead a WSA of compassion, empathy, diversity, representation, and at the forefront, empowerment. After all, our vision is empowered students empowering students, because if we don't, who will? I want to thank you all for being here today. It's awesome to see this many people come out for a debate, and I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. Ms. Bird, your opening remarks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kayla Bird, and my pronouns are she, hers. Good. Okay. I'm a third-year student studying biomedical sciences in Spanish, and I'm running as the student body president for the Brighter, Bolder Broncos campaign. Through this position, I hope to spearhead resource sharing, education, communication, collaboration, as well as the promotion of diverse students and groups through advocacy for all WMU students and affiliates. In addition to the scenic atmosphere and people-centric community of WMU, I've had many experiences here that have brought me great joy and have allowed me to understand who I am and what my values are in life. Some of these include serving as an RA, being a lead corps intern, participating in the Voices of WMU Gospel Choir, and serving as the chairperson for the 2023 RSO Summit. With that being said, I am not the only person on the Brighter Bolder Broncos slate, and I would like to take a moment to introduce the two lovely ladies that have been building this campaign with me. Mariana Bringas Acevedo uses the she, her pronouns. She is a non-traditional student studying behavioral and social psychology and has been carefully selected as my vice presidential candidate. From the instant I met Mariana, I knew I wanted to collaborate with her because of her drive and her passion for serving students, especially those who are underserved. Melissa Powers, who also uses the she, her pronouns, is a third-year student studying political science with a desire to maintain the capacity, yet improve the accessibility of WSA to the entire student body. I am confident that Melissa's knowledge of the inner workings of our student government will allow her to make an effective change should we be elected. While 3 minutes is not nearly enough time to adequately introduce the campaign, it is our objective for the upcoming school year its objectives for the upcoming academic year is crucial for anyone interacting with our campaign. We are not running because we have spent our entire collegiate careers within WSA, but rather because we see where our student government can take bigger steps in getting the needs of all students met, regardless of their academic program, degree level, modality, standing, or status. The ACE initiative at the forefront of our campaign attempts to address the underlying concern by ensuring WSA remains a space for advocacy, communication, and engagement to occur. While these 3 pillars can be read in more depth on our Instagram at brighter_bolder_broncos, we hope we can further explain these plans within tonight's debate. Before we begin tonight, I would like to recognize a few groups for their contributions to the 2023 elections and our campaign. Thank you to our campaign team, the Elections Promotions Committee, your WMU, all of our endorsers, and the student body as a whole for allowing this opportunity for us to make a difference in the student government.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. This brings us to the first question of the night, and Mr. Longlet, you will be answering first. RSOs are one of the most valuable resources that WMU students have available to them. What will you tangibly do to create a better overall experience for RSO leadership and members?
So you're right. RSOs are incredibly important to the experience here at Western. I myself am a part of multiple. But it's important to recognize that right now we're coming out of COVID. And that because of that, we have a massive engagement issue here on campus. Engagement is something that I believe both of our campaigns wish to work on. But from my stance, engagement means giving passion meaning. Everyone has their own passion, whether it be in politics, whether it be in sustainability, whether it be in cooking. And students here at Western, they should know that there are places everywhere for those passions, to be given meaning. In my opinion, passion fades, but meaning fades less quickly. And so providing RSOs with the resources that are necessary to enhance this engagement is paramount. Additionally, speaking towards the RSO aspect, historically in the past, WSA has only really gone to RSOs when we need something from them, whether it be on the campaign trail or otherwise. And it's important that we reach out to RSOs and continue to go to these meetings even after this campaign is over, to advocate for them and to tell them about the resources that student government has, whether it be allocations or the connections that we have. It's important to tell these student leaders, WSA is here for you, WSA supports you, and WSA has the resources that you need.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. Ms. Bird, the same question. What will you tangibly do to create a better overall experience for RSO leadership and members?
Of course, I agree with what Sam said. RSOs are paramount to what we do on campus. I will tell anyone any day that if you just came to campus just to study, we all know now that you can just do it online at home in your bed. But RSOs are really important to lift up and build up. In our campaign, we have made the initiative to create a RSO connectivity committee so that we can consistently hear the needs and wants of RSOs and bring them to our attention. In addition, we would like to offer presidential office hours so that concerns can constantly be brought up, whether that's like, hey, I want to talk to you just because I want to get to know who you are and why you're representing me, or hey, I have this concern and I need someone to talk to about it. I believe that we should give RSOs the space to meet with us, as well as Mr. Longlet said, reaching out to those RSOs and going to their meetings to understand what they are doing as well.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. This brings us to open discussion. Mr. Longlet, your response.
Open discussion. From my response, I mean, I agree with everything that Kayla said. It's important that RSOs know that people have that student government has the resources that they need to help thrive. I mean, there's a reason in when I was designing the speakers code, I put in announcements a specific area for assembly members so that they could discuss and promote their RSO. And with that, I mean, like we both said, RSOs are important on campus. I mean, that's not necessarily a hot take. And it's just about providing them with the resources that they need to succeed. Other than that, I guess I don't really know what else to say towards this question when it comes to this open discussion. I believe that it's important that RSOs get these resources and that WSA reaches out to these RSOs and tells them that these resources exist. Additionally, I know experienced WMU is kind of hard to work with. And so I would like to see under my administration that we provide more resources, especially when it comes towards the leadership summit with experienced WMU. It's kind of difficult. I've had a couple run-ins with it myself, and I'm not the most technologically able person on the planet. I'm actually not very good with computers at all, if it was evident by how long it took me to unmute myself. And so with that being said, it's just important that we tell RSOs that we have these resources and that we're here to help them.
Yes, I think, Sam, you said it wonderfully. RSOs are pretty much the bread and butter that makes campus community what it is. And through resources like Experience WMU, the Leadership Summit, that I believe both of our campaigns and our slates plan to continue uplifting and making available for everyone, we hope to support RSOs and continue doing that every day.
Are there any resources currently not provided that your campaign will extend to these RSOs?
Who's to answer first?
Anyone that would like to?
Go ahead, Kayla. I went first last time.
Okay, just to be clear, is this a new question or is this under the same time frame?
It is still under open discussion.
Okay. So I think that, like I mentioned before, the RSO Connectivity Committee would offer a opportunity for RSOs to meet each other and create those relationships from the get-go and create that collaboration, whereas we haven't seen as much of that connection quite yet within our student government. And that is something that our campaign would like to make sure is available to everyone.
Thank you. This brings us to our second question. Ms. Bird, you will be responding first. Increasing participation and engagement in WSA is obviously an important goal to both campaigns. What reforms will you implement in order to make opportunities within WSA more available to students who would be otherwise unaware?
I think that is an amazing question. For starters, I believe that right now, a lot of the people that attend are for RSOs, and that is amazing. But we want to make sure that we are uplifting all students within our student government as well. For example, for students that may not have a particular RSO that they're a part of, how do we lift them up? So creating opportunities and spaces like the Leadership Summit to tell students that, hey, there is a student government and we do have a space for you, I think is a starting point. In addition, when we have meetings with the RSO Connectivity Committee, I hope that more students will be able to join in those aspects so that they can see that the student government is truly there for them so that they can take the information that they learn from there and use it in their daily life.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Ms. Bird. Mr. Longlet, same question. What reforms will
repeat the question? My Wi-Fi cut out.
I will. The question is, what reforms will you implement in order to make opportunities within WSA more available to students who would be otherwise unaware?
So when I'm out tabling for the campaign, I always tell students, this is not the last time you're going to see me. And I promise that. I mean it. I know that if I were to win this election, it's true. This is not the last time you're going to see me. I plan on, if I were to win this, and it's in my student body presidential role, to be out in the community as often as possible, to be going to RSOs even when WSA doesn't need something, and to tell people, as many people as possible, number one, that they're already a member of WSA as a non-voting member, and how easy it is to gain your voting status. And I'll also tell them about the resources that WSA has. Fundamentally, people on campus don't really know about WSA, as evident in our 3.4% voter turnout for the last election. People don't know about us, and people don't know that we have the resources that they may need. As a matter of fact, people only really contact us when it's they're out of options and they don't know who else to contact. But if they were to have contacted first, we could have told them that immediately the right person to get in contact with. WSA has these resources. We have the connection, we have the punch, able to help students punch above their weight when addressing concerns. And it's just all about telling students. And I promise, as your student body president, that this is not the last time you're going to see me. And I'm going to be out in the community as much as I can, telling students all of this.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. Ms. Bird, you have priority in open discussion.
Beautiful. I think, again, what Sam said is very true. It is important to take a step outside of WSA to make sure that we are being heard, or not being heard, but representing the students by coming to the students, whether that be at RSOs or during tabling events or during any other event that's going on. I think it is important for us to, as in the student body president, vice president, chief of staff, and all members of the WSA legislative, judicial, and executive branches, we would like to be present and ensure that students know what resources are available to them and how we can support them.
So I would just like to add, like I said, WSA has a history of only really going to RSOs when we need something. That doesn't look good. I mean, RSOs know this. I mean, when I've gone to RSOs in the past, both in the campaign shoes and whatnot, they tell me that they don't really feel like WSA cares about them. And that sucks because I know that in my position as speaker, I care deeply about RSOs. But it's important that we continue to maintain these relationships. And both what Kayla and I have done on the campaign trail and what WSA has in the past to maintain these relationships, to go back to these RSOs after we've won or after we've lost, and to continue to engage with them. Because, I mean, I think it's a pretty big issue that WSA only comes to RSOs during elections. And I would like to see that change. And as I've said before, I promise that I will be doing that. I promise that I'm going out in the community. I promise that I want to work to make the student body presidential role as noticeable on campus as the actual president of the university. I want to make sure that people can recognize myself in that position and recognize that I am an asset and I'm on their side and I am full of resources that can help you in your particular situation.
I do not have anything further to say than what
As a
Sam has
follow-up,
said.
as a follow-up question, what would that engagement look like towards RSOs after you are elected?
So I know for myself, I've every single RSO meeting that I've gone to, I've enjoyed. I think, even if their interests don't 100% align with mine, I think in every single RSO that I've gone to, I see passionate students, and the passion has been given meaning in these RSOs. And I just love that. I love being able to go to these RSOs and see all these passionate students, and it's inspiring. I look back to my time visiting the Black Student Union, for example, and I've enjoyed every single one of their meetings. I went with wearing the campaign hat and not just as a student. And I know that all of these meetings that I've gone to, I've enjoyed, and I will continue to go to just because WSA has these resources. It's time to advocate for them.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. This leads us to our third question of the night. And Mr. Longlet, you will be responding first. What are the biggest challenges facing WSA, and what will you do to solve them? Furthermore, what makes you unique?
I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out. I can't quite hear you.
It wasn't you. It cut out for
Okay,
me
good.
as well.
Oh my gosh, I was really worried about the Paddock Wi-Fi. Guess we just wait for Mark to get back. This is a little awkward, huh? How's your day been, Kayla?
It's been pretty good.
Good. I've been
Alex.
doing a lot of homework. This is a great catch-up day.
I know it has been it was a good day to just relax a little bit.
Relax, yeah.
Well, he's coming back. I can actually just ask the next question here. That is, what are the biggest challenges facing WSA, and what will you do to solve them? Furthermore, what makes you uniquely qualified to handle those challenges?
All right, so I guess I start. Yes, that's what Mark said. So I believe some of the greatest issues facing WSA come internally. I think that for the last little bit here, WSA's kind of had a toxic culture. I don't know what it is. I really don't. I think that WSA and student government in general kind of attracts like that student government type. Everyone who went to all the conferences last year knows that student government type. I think it's important that we recognize that we recognize that there's a reason that people leave our organization, and there's a reason that people don't feel empowered all the time. That being said, I don't think WSA is a bad organization. I really want to say that. I think that we have, I think we're a good organization. I think that we do good work. I just want in my campaign and also in my cabinet, I want to build a culture of empathy, of trust, of love, and of being comfortable being emotional when it comes to, I need more time to do this, or I can't do this right now, and more acceptance of that. I think that every single cabinet member this year has succeeded and excelled. And I want to see if next year, how far that success can go in a more empathetic and less toxic situation. And speaking to where myself is, I currently sit on cabinet, I'm a quasi cabinet member as the speaker. And I've done a lot in the assembly to promote engagement and promote empowerment. I mean, we look at the assembly meetings and people are comfortable being in the dissenting opinion. And as a senator from last year, I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. And all the House members from last year don't remember that either. And I think that I can take what I have learned in improving the assembly and improving engagement to the assembly and bring it to all of WSA and all of campus by proxy. I don't know how much time I have left. I don't have the little timer. Oh, you're muted, Kayla.
It looks like Mark is back.
Yeah, I
And so I'll
just
let
wrote
him-
that.
You're
No
perfectly
problem.
fine, Mark. If you want to add, we just had Mr. Longlet answer the question. If you want to ask Kayla the same question once more, I will bow out once more.
Of course. Ms. Bird, we're on to the third question. What are the biggest challenges facing WSA and what will you do to solve them? Furthermore, what makes you uniquely qualified to handle them?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I think one of the biggest problems within WSA is representation. So a lot of people, yes, know about WSA. We see a lot of engagement now at the assembly meetings. However, there's a lot of people that also don't know about WSA. For example, in October, excuse me, there was a survey done through a tabling event for WSA, and approximately 1/3 of students knew that WSA was a thing and that WSA was serving them. And I would like to see more students come into WSA and understand that we are here to support you. In addition, what makes me unique for this position is that I come from that outside perspective. I came into WSA as a person that was looking to get money for my RSO, and then I realized the change that I can make within the student government. And I think that that is something that is unique about my slate, as well as my vice president has not had a lot of involvement with WSA because she works at that time, but my chief of staff entered WSA from a different perspective, and we all come from different perspectives as students, as RSO members, and we want to see more RSOs and more students represented.
Thank you. This brings us to open discussion. That was a little loud. This brings us to open discussion. Mr. Longley, you have priority.
So like I said, WSA has a little bit of a past when it comes to this toxicity. This is really evident in our elections. Kayla, I'm sure you've experienced it. There's a lot of like drama and rumors spreading around, and it's people care too much. I know that's crazy. It's crazy to say. People care too much because it's just student government. It's not that deep. This isn't real government. You know, I worked on a real big kid campaign over the summer, and that gets a little deep because it's real politics. But this is just a student government, you know? And I just, for the life of me, I still can't understand what about WSA brings out this toxicity in people. And so with that being said, like I said, WSA is not a bad organization. I've been through the ringer in WSA, and I know that WSA is not a bad organization. My slate represents people in WSA that had similar experiences as myself. People that don't necessarily feel empowered by WSA, people that, you know, feel like we could be doing better. And so I just want to leave it with that. WSA is not a bad organization. I just think that it needs a little love.
Awesome. I will say that I have not had the same experience as Sam. When I walked into the assembly, I did feel accepted. And when I've talked to cabinet members and members of the EPC, the Elections Promotions Committee, I felt like I had a place and I felt like my voice could be heard. I noticed that you referenced elections, and I haven't had any bad experiences with elections this year. I apologize if you had, but I do know that I have had a positive experience in WSA as of yet, and I would love to hear more about what toxicity you're feeling and where that is coming from, because I don't want to, I want to acknowledge what you're feeling, but I want to make sure that we can look at we can promote WSA in a better light in the future so that all people can feel how I feel in this moment, which is empowered.
Just to piggyback off of that, my campaign has made a promise to not participate in that toxicity. And so that, as a part of that, it's our big pledge. We're not going to name names. We're not going to talk about specific instances because what's in the past is in the past. You know, everyone involved knows what happened. And I know that puts me at a disadvantage when I'm talking about things that affected me in WSA, but just for the good of the order, so to say, I think it's important to move past it and to acknowledge that it happened, acknowledge this in the past, but do the best in the present that we can do to fix it, to create a better future. I don't have
I have
anything
no
else
further
to add. We only
comments.
have 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Thank you. This leads to the final question of this segment, and Ms. Bird, you will have priority in first response. The WSA offers various leadership opportunities and positions that provide ample opportunities for change and reform. What is it about the executive office that makes all of your policy ambitions possible? Why couldn't you simply implement these changes in some other role?
Okay, thank you for that question. I believe that the executive office, the executive cabinet in specifically has a unique position because they have a lot of connections to encourage the advocacy of students, particularly in seeing the relationships that our current student body president has. I know that he has been able to reach out to staff, faculty, and administration, whereas not a lot of other students can do that. And he does that in a way that promotes all students, which is something that I would like to do as well. So in the student body president position, I have the opportunity to take the passion that I have for uplifting student voices to the next level, because I, in some ways, have more people listening to me because I have a title. With that being said, I want to make my title an opportunity for other students to have the accessibility of all faculty, administration, and staff support. If that covered that question.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Mr. Longlet, your response. What is it about the executive office that makes all of your policy ambitions possible? Why couldn't you simply implement these changes in some other role?
So the big thing is, I think that the executive branch in WSA has the most external reach, obviously. Legislative is pretty internal, and so is judicial. And so I want to see, on one hand, I want to see WSA externally be more present in the community. I want to see WSA visiting more RSOs, WSA doing more tabling, WSA talking to more students. But also internally, I want to promote a culture of love, acceptance, and empathy. And so it's kind of, I've tried my hardest in the legislative branch to advocate for that. And I hope that I have done that in the legislative branch. I mean, I have my own quasi cabinet. I'm reluctant to call it a cabinet. It's more so a committee of people that I have seen in the assembly that have been willing to give me that extra 10%. And so I'm willing to give them partial control of the assembly, as it should be. All these people are putting in extra work. They should have a say in how things are run. And so I would really model my cabinet off of that legislative leadership and my experience there. And it's the executive branch. It's the head of WSA. The things that I want to see WSA do are externally, as a whole organization, not necessarily just the legislative branch or the executive. And I feel like the presidential position has that power to do that. Additionally, the presidential position, as Kayla touched on, has a lot of resources and a lot of contacts. And it's important in that position to use those contacts and those resources effectively, and to tell students those resources and contacts exist.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. This brings us to open discussion. Ms. Bird, you have priority with your response. Beautiful.
I think that one of the things Sam touched on that I would also like to speak on is the executive cabinet. I'm not going to try to name all of the positions, but I know that there is a beautiful team of people that are dedicated to doing specific things within WSA to encourage student voices. And I believe that with a position such as the student body president, I will be able to lead those discussions and lead that connection and collaboration to promote advocacy and engagement of our students, because that, at the end of the day, should be what the student government is about, is promoting the students. And with a good leader, I believe that the executive cabinet, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, and WSA as a whole can promote that in the best light possible.
I see the presidential position, I don't know, I'm a little bit of a different leader than WSA has had historically in the past, as far to my knowledge. I'm a very bottom-up kind of guy. I don't really believe that the student body president position internally in WSA should be a task giver. I think I should be assigned tasks. My cabinet should be able to come to me with what makes them most passionate, what they care about, and what they want to see done. And I should be able to help them do that and help them achieve that. I don't believe that it's my role or my position to tell people on my cabinet necessarily what to pursue. If, for say, my academic chair, my executive officer for academic affairs, comes to me and says, I want to, work on student life over on the aviation campus. Well, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help them do that. I'm going to use my, vast resources and contacts to help them get that done. I'm not going to tell them to do that because it's all about what my cabinet wants to do. I'm a bottom-up leader. I think that I should be a task givee than a task giver.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that's where the part of advocacy comes in. I am a person that sees your goals and I want to help you get to them as best as possible. So whichever position, whether you are coming into WSA as a new person, whether you are coming in as a person within the cabinet, or whether you're just a student, I want to see your passion and uplift it. When I was saying that I would help as a leader to navigate those conversations, I was not saying being a task giver, but rather seeing your passion and lifting that up, because that is what I think, like I said, the student government should do, is be an advocate to hear what you have to say and lift that up to the appropriate people so that you can feel like you are heard and you are appreciated within the student government.
11 seconds, 10, 9. I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you, Ms. Byrd and Mr. Longlet. This concludes the first segment of the debate. And we are now going to move into the segment where the audience asks questions. The first question with the most upvotes is that the student body president role is hard. What support systems do you have in place outside of WSA to help you get through the hard times? Mr. Longlet, you have priority in answering first.
So I know this question puts emphasis on outside of WSA, but I'd also just like to mention that my support system is my slate. Travis is my best friend. I mean, we're even moving in together. And Alex Kasperzak is my girlfriend. I mean, these are the closest people in my life, and I know that I wouldn't be the man that I would be without them. And I know that I couldn't even do half as much as I am now. But speaking towards outside WSA, I have a lot of pals. My roommates are really awesome. I believe they're watching this right now. I also want to have a big shout out to my mom. I know she's on the YouTube live. Hi, Mom. And there's a lot of people in my life that love me, and a lot of people that respect me, and a lot of people that want to see me succeed. I had an amazing boss this last year for my my first real big kid job, and we stay in contact. And he makes sure that I'm doing all right, and he's done a lot to advocate for me out in the real world. And so, with that being said, support systems outside of WSA, I mean, all my friends, my family, my brother, who's also here. My brother is a freshman student here. I mean, this is my family, and also my wonderful cat Simba. He's orange like me. Love him a lot. And so, yeah, I have quite a bit. I have a very strong support system. Thank you for that question.
Ms. Byrd, the same question. What support systems do you have outside of WSA that have helped you through this process?
Okay, awesome. I think I heard all of that. You cut out at the end though. I would say that, again, like Sam said, my slate has been awesome. They have been helping with everything that has been going on. But I will also mention my roommate and my boyfriend, because I probably couldn't be here without the support that I have and the people that are constantly uplifting and telling me that, hey, you're doing good and you're trying to do good things. With that being said, I will put in things for myself to make sure that I am helping myself, whether that is taking a moment and watching some Netflix, or whether that is scheduling time just to be with me so that I can handle things that I have to do and then do my best when I'm handling the position as well.
Thank you. Ms. Byrd, you will have priority in responding to this question first. The question is, what will you do specifically to make sure that RSOs don't feel used as political pawns during the next election?
Yeah, that is a really good question, because that is not what I think either of our slates would want. I believe that we will continue having those conversations where we are going to be attending RSO meetings so that we can try to have that connection already, whereas it's not WSA is coming in for the first time to hear what your RSO concerns are when it's time to vote. In addition, within that RSO connectivity committee, I want to inspire those collaboration and those conversations to happen from the get-go, where we can start talking to RSOs about what is going on, how we work for each other, and how WSA can uplift them. So that way they know that WSA is a resource and the RSO is not a resource to WSA. If that, I feel like I worded that improperly, but I don't want RSOs to feel like they're being used. I want them to feel like they should be able to come to WSA and be given resources as opposed to us going to them to take their resources.
Mr. Longlet, your response?
Will you please repeat the question?
Of course. What will your campaign do specifically to ensure that RSOs don't feel used as political pawns during the next election?
The number one responsibility of every single position as written in our Constitution is work to improve the integrity of the Western Student Association. And integrity is a really important word to me. I think that it's really important. And knowing that this year RSOs have unfortunately been a pawn in this WSA elections, it kind of speaks to that whole integrity point. And so walking back as student body president, I would make sure that number one, RSOs don't feel like, you know, we're only coming to them for elections. I'm glad that Kayla and I agree on this, because that's one of the things that I want to see WSA change. I want to see WSA go to these RSOs outside of election season and tell them about these resources and advocate for them, and also just learn from them. I think there's a lot of things that some RSOs do better than us. Like I want to once again shout out the Black Student Union. I went to their meetings multiple times. I remember after my first one, I even texted someone this. I've never seen a group of people more engaged and empowered. I mean, there are things that WSA can learn from other student organizations. And it's important that we do that. And it's also important that we continue to go to these RSOs outside of election season. I don't know how many times that I have to say it. I mean, that is one of the things that I want to see WSA change the most.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. Thank you, Ms. Bird. Next question is, and Mr. Longlet, you'll have priority in answering. Who in WSA, either current or past, do you look up to in modeling your tenure as student body president?
So I'd like to touch on two people. The first is Dakota Shapiro. He was the Speaker of the Senate last year. I've remained in contact with him. I've kept him updated on what WSA is doing. He graduated last year. I really look up to him. I think that the Senate was a really hard position to advocate for last year, just because, like, who wants to represent their academic college? And that's what the Senate was based on. So I really look up to him, and I really appreciate his friendship. I still reach out to him all the time. I hang out with him a couple times a month. He's a great guy. Additionally, for the student body position president itself, I really look up to former student body president Alexis Morris. She was the one that kept me in WSA, that inspired me, and she became a really good friend of mine last year. And like, honestly, like looking back at where my life was a year ago now, because that's when I started getting engaged in WSA, I could not have had the confidence I needed to make the changes that I needed without WSA, and specifically without the leadership of Alexis Morris. I mean, I really look up to her. I really look up to the foundation and the first stepping stones that she laid towards making a better WSA. I also just want to touch on, I really also do look up to current student body president Chankid's son. I really, really respect the work he's done externally for WSA, and also Hannah Marcon, who's done the work for the West Michigan repavement and making it safer. I think they're all fantastic people. I think they've all done great.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. Ms. Bird, your response.
Yes, I think that, I don't know if I could name everyone who I think has been an asset to me and who I look up to, because honestly, I just think it's everyone in the way that things are run right now. Of course, Chankid, of course, Hannah, Bruna, oh my goodness, Melissa, think of all of the names that I can, but I can't go down the list of everyone. With that being said, simply just the people that are in WSA right now are what makes it what it is. They make me feel empowered. And that is why I'm here today, because I feel that the people, whether it be Chinkid, Hannah, Melissa, Colin, even though he's not necessarily in the cabinet position still, they have just inspired me to be empowered and to continue empowering students as well. So I don't know if I could speak to a specific person. I know I listed a few, but that is, my brain is like overwhelmed with how much love I have for the people that have helped me and that inspire me to do what I do on a daily basis.
Oh, is Mark frozen again? Oh no. Gosh.
Okay. While he is temporarily frozen, I have to grab my computer charger real quick because I did not think about being on Zoom for 2 hours. Be right.
I'll be here. It's kind of awkward, isn't it? I have the whole floor to myself, huh?
Just to provide a little bit of context, looks like there's a power problem.
Yeah, my light bulb that's right in front of me has been flickering a couple times.
I see.
Man, this ice storm kind of sucks, huh?
Indeed, indeed. Well, once Kayla gets back, I will go ahead and ask another question here.
Sounds good.
Hello, I'm back. I ran.
All right. So here is a question. If you lose, what roles within WSA would you consider for the 2023-2024 academic year? And Kayla, if you want to begin with priority on that question.
Beautiful, yes. So I think that the executive officer for University Pride or the executive officer for student affairs, I hope that I'm saying the words right, are really unique positions because they have the university and the students at the forefront of the vision, like of their mind. In addition, I think the Speaker of the Assembly position has a unique perspective because you have that one-on-one, yes, Sam, your position, you have that one-on-one relationship with RSOs and you get to see them and meet them and connect with them on a weekly basis. Whereas some of those executive officer positions, you may not have that as much, but you do have the opportunity to create more events and inspire more collaboration.
My turn? Question mark?
Yes,
so.
yes, Sam, go ahead.
Thank you. I love the Speaker of the Assembly role. I may be a little biased in saying this, but I think it's the best position at WSA. I mean, like, I can't even put into words how much fun I've had over the last year. It's really boosted my confidence level when it comes to speaking. You know, I'm a little bit of an introvert, believe it or not. I kind of scared that out of myself, and I'm real good at faking being an introvert, extrovert now. But gosh, every time I get up in front of the assembly, like I'm looking forward to it every single week. It's just a blast. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so I'd want to pursue that if I don't win this election. But just at the end of the day, I'd like to default back to what Travis told me when he was running for secretary. I don't care. I want to stay in WSA because I see WSA as a way to help students, and that's all I want to do. And I agree with Travis 100% when he said that. And so with that being said, I'd love to go for the speakership position again because I love the assembly. I love legislative affairs. That's what I want to get my master's in. I love this stuff. But if the road towards that is blocked, I would 100% stay in WSA. I love this organization. It's given me everything.
Thank you. Directing the next question with priority to Mr. Longlet. Your slate would be in charge of cabinet appointments. What cabinet positions do you believe would play the most significant role in your agenda?
So the first thing that I want to talk about is this impending wall that WSA is and also WMU is kind of run up against. I haven't really touched about it. I'll touch on other capacities, but enrollment's coming down. With enrollment coming down, the SAF is also coming down. With the SAF also coming down, WSA's budget's also coming down. And so it's important to have a strong chief of finance that has, you know, knowledge in economics to be able to do this. And for that, my slate, we all agree that Mason DeRaj should be that person. And we are going to advocate for his appointment to chief of finance. He is incredibly intelligent. Me and him agree on everything in WSA. I think he is one of the best students in WSA at the moment. I mean, Alex and Travis and I, we're all really, really good friends. We're all in agreement that the fourth to our trio is Mason. And I guess to spend a little more time outside of the chief of finance role, I truly do believe that all positions are really important, especially when I want to talk about providing a more loving environment in WSA. I think that all positions have to do with that. But I'd also like to touch on the Executive Officer for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. His position is currently vacant in WSA. I think in the past that I don't know necessarily have enough context for this year, but my understanding and previous, my understanding is that Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Chair has always been the one person devoted to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I don't necessarily agree with that. Actually, I don't agree with that at all. I think that diversity, equity, and inclusion should be a goal of everyone on my cabinet, with the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Chair keeping everyone in check, keeping everyone on the right path with that. But the DEI aspect of it is everyone's responsibility.
Taylor, I'm going to ask you the same question. Your slate would be in charge of cabinet appointments. What cabinet positions do you believe play the most significant role in your agenda?
Yeah, I believe that all positions are very important. I don't know if I could say that one is more important than the other, because what I would hope to see in the cabinet is collaboration and communication, where I might have the diversity, equity, and inclusion person talking to academic affairs, and academic affairs is talking to university pride, because that is the connection that I would like to see. Whereas it's not one person is being held above another. It is that everyone offers a unique perspective, and everyone's position is very unique, and they should all be uplifted in different ways, yes, but all be uplifted with the same passion and fervor. So I don't know that I could say that there's one person or one position that I could see as the standstill executive officer, but I do believe that all positions are important. I also agree with what Sam said, though. The position for diversity, equity, and inclusion should be a priority for everyone. And that I think that goes without saying, but I think that all positions should be kind of embedded into each other a little bit, so that everyone is uplifted, even though someone might focus a little bit more in one area or specialty.
Thank you. Another question from an audience member. How can students of color and other marginalized groups feel represented by your slate? I want to direct this question with priority to Ms. Kayla Bird.
Of course. So our slate is diverse. With that being said, we do not represent every community, and we do not represent our whole community. So I identify as African American or Black, but that does not mean I represent all African Americans or Black people. With that being said, I want to make sure that we are including those RSOs and including those students in these conversations so that they can be represented. For example, at the RSO Connectivity Committee or during presidential office hours, I want to make sure that these students can be heard and they can be uplifted, because we don't represent everyone. We don't represent everyone of every diversity and every ethnicity, but we do want to hear them and we want to support them and uplift them.
Oh, Nick, you're muted. You're muted, Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Longley. All right. I'm going to ask you the same question once more. How can students of color and other marginalized groups feel represented by your slate?
I want to take a quick moment to talk about privilege. Obviously, I'm a Caucasian male. I come from a position of privilege. I recognize that my experiences in life are not shared by everyone in the student body. And it's important to recognize that. It's also important to recognize that I don't know everything about my privilege. And I really look forward to, especially in the student body presidential role, to learning more about that privilege. And I know that I speak for my entire slate when I say that. That being said, I also want to bring up what I said in the last question about the diversity, equity, and inclusion chair. I really do believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion should be a goal of everyone in WSA, not just this one person to advocate for. Obviously, their role is very important in keeping everyone in check and making sure that we still pursue that goal of diversity, equity, and inclusion. But it should be everyone's personal goal. I think that bringing in more diverse opinions and more diverse backgrounds is paramount to being able to accurately represent and accurately advocate for the student body. I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is especially important, especially considering what's happening in Ottawa County, just north of here. I mean, they on day one of their county commission meeting, they disbanded their diversity, equity, and inclusion. This field, this advocacy is in danger. And it's important that us and the student government advocate for it and continue its advocacy, because we know that this position, this level of advocacy is in danger, and we got to respect that.
I want to just do a more general question here, and I will direct this question, as I've been doing, alternating back and forth, to Mr. Sam Longlet. Why did you select the members of your slate?
Well, honestly, it was kind of an easy decision. I remember I had a conversation with Travis where I told him the only way I'm running for student body president is if you run with me. I would not be here if Travis was not my vice president. And Travis had the same thing to say about Alex as chief of staff, and I agree with him. I think these are my two best friends. I work amazing with them as is. We have a really, really, really good working relationship. We work on the daily together on WSA stuff. We also, importantly, have a really good outside of WSA relationship. You know, we're all really, really good at respecting each other's boundaries and saying, hey, WSA stops at the door. Don't talk to me about WSA. And if you have to, text me on Slack so I can check it in the morning. Now, we're all really good at that. And like I said, these are my best friends. These are my support system. There's no one else in the world that I love more. I mean, Alex is my girlfriend. Travis is my roommate next year. And so the decision was easy. I work really, really well with Travis, and I work really, really, really well with Alex.
Ayla, I'd like to ask you the same question. And why did you select the members of your slate? Sorry.
Beautiful, thank you. So originally, I wasn't sure that I wanted to run for WSA president because I wasn't sure if I had the power or the potential. I was just an RSO assembly member. However, when I met Mariana, for starters, at the RSO Leadership Summit, I saw her potential and I saw the passion and the drive that she had to uplift students, and that was really inspiring. And I told her then and there, I was like, oh, you should run for like WSA with me. And she was like, well, I don't know. And then what we did later within the week was we had another conversation and we were like, okay, these are the things that we agree on. These are the things that make us passionate. These are the things that we want to see change within our student government. And this is how we want to uplift students. And that was really inspiring to me. And then with Melissa, when I was thinking about, okay, who do I choose as a chief of staff? Melissa was actually recommended to me by a friend. And I had seen Melissa a few times at WSA, but I hadn't had a huge opportunity to talk to her yet. And when I did, and when we had these conversations, I saw her passion for the students as well, and her willingness and drive to make things accessible for students. That came evident to me when we were paired together for the WSA strategic plan within RSO Connection. And we've been working together very well, I would say, since. And though our relationship on our slate kind of started somewhat newer than Sam's slate, it has been really empowering because my slate is pretty awesome and they are empowering and they are inspiring students to work with.
Thank you. I'm going to direct this next question. I believe I'm directing this to Ms. Bird. And that is, both slates have said that they want to show up for RSOs, but how are you planning to balance your life, study, and work?
That is a really good question. I think that we can't necessarily show up to all RSOs all week. However, if I say, okay, this Monday I'm going to show up to this RSO and this RSO, and next Monday I'm going to show up to 2 new RSOs, and I can spread it out over a longer period of time, whereas I'm still having these conversations and still hearing these RSOs, but I'm not necessarily joining all RSOs at the same time, because I know that I would probably just be the queen of RSOs at that point, as opposed to the student body president. With that being said, I do want to create, again, that RSO connectivity committee so that, yes, I can go to your RSOs, but then you can also bring your RSO to WSA as well, so that you can be heard and supported. And yeah, in addition, I know that weekly schedules change. So inviting RSOs to different events and all of that kind of goodness to make sure that we are uplifting RSOs as well. And I know that Mariana, my vice president, would like to take part in that with me. So we would both be taking that on to make sure that we can hear all RSO voices and all student voices.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. Mr. Longlet, I'm going to ask the same question. Both slates have said that they want to show up for RSOs, but how are you planning to balance your life, study, and work?
Once again, I just want to say how happy I am that both Kayla and I agree on this, because like I said, this is one of the things about WSA that I want to see change the most. That being said, I'm a pretty busy person. I'm a little weird. I really like thrive on stress. I really like being busy. And ever since I've learned how to use Google Calendar, it's been full. And with that being said, it's also important that when I do find this free time, that I can go to RSOs. I mean, it should be a priority of mine, and it is a priority of mine. But also myself is a priority. I want to be able to take care of myself. And so it's really going to be like a week by week basis. You know, what can I handle? Can I go out and visit 3 RSOs? Can I only go out and visit 1? It's going to be reflecting on myself. It's going to be judging what I can handle. And it's also going to be make sure that I don't burn myself out by never spending any time at home. I hardly do anyways. That's just the way I like it. I like to be crazy. I like to jump back and forth between different things. I see Kayla nodding her head. We're both crazy, aren't we? Yeah. I remember one night, really late. I'll just finish on this quick story. Really late. I was in the SOC. It was like midnight, 1 a.m. And I walk out with the old representative from Skydive Broncos, who calls my name. Like, hey, how you doing? And he goes, why do we do this to ourselves? It's just funny. I think that so anyway, speaking more to the RSO aspect of it, you know, I'm really excited to go visit these RSOs, but I also know that I need to take care of myself. And with that being said, I'm going to do my darndest and come to as many RSOs as possible. Because quite frankly, doing that is more than what I want.
Thank you. I'm going to ask one final question for this debate, just because we are running low on time. I'm going to direct this to Mr. Longlet. There's a lot of talk about wanting to change things. Pertaining to the changes that you want, how have you already begun to implement those changes outside of the role of student body president?
So our campaign promises are not, 3 words, they're 3 phrases: acknowledge the past, better the present, and create the future. And that question is really speaking towards the better the present aspect of it. I believe that it's our responsibility to do the best that we can in our current capacities to lead by example and to do the changes that we want to see done. My slate, speaking towards that, like I said, this pledge that we've all taken to not partake in the drama, to not name names, to not be part of the toxicity, and to do the best we can to uplift everyone around us and to continue that empowerment. A lot of that is one of our stated goals is to better the present. And that is all about leading by example and doing the best we can in our current capacities to advocate for that.
Thank you, Mr. Longlet. Ms. Bird, I want to ask you the same question. Let me find it. I'm sorry. Apologize. We've spoken a lot about change in today. how have you begun to implement the changes that you want to see outside of the role of as student body president?
Beautiful, thank you. So one of the things I would say is that what I've seen with WSA is that a new president comes in and they set the new foundation for something, and then another president comes in and they set the new foundation for something, whereas I want to build upon what's been set. So yes, I have new ideas of what I want to bring, but I also want to acknowledge what is already there to build upon and make sure that that foundation is being grown. Instead of WSA growing outward, we can start growing up. For example, with Mental Health Week, I would like to continue that and uplift that and make sure more RSOs are involved and more students are involved. With that being said, some of the changes that I have been doing to encourage engagement and target how students can be more involved are things like taking part in the steering committee of the WSA strategic plan, because I think that when we have those conversations with WSA members and we talk about where do we see WSA going in the future? How does the vision relate to what we want in the future? How does our mission relate to what we want in the future? I think that those are really important questions to guiding the student government to where the students want us to go next. Not necessarily where I want to take us, but where I want to help guide the student government from what you, the students, want.
Thank you. And there is one final question that has been incessantly asked that I'd like to just briefly address. And that is, I will first direct to Ms. Kayla Bird. What is your opinion on the sale of alcohol at WMU sporting events?
I don't know. I was not expecting that one at all. I don't.
The
really
voters
know
want to know.
I don't know the protocol currently at WMU sporting events. I don't think it is sold at sporting events. But okay, it's not. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something, make the people happy. Okay. If
All right.
that's something that people want, then we can discuss conversations about how that can be accessible, but I'm not sure of where the university stands on those policies as of yet. I know that a lot of students are under the age of 21, and their most likely thought is that they want to make sure that students are being safe. But I don't know if I could speak on the alcohol at sporting events.
You don't need to move forward. Thank you. We appreciate the response. And Mr. Longlet, your answer on the question as well.
So last year, I went to as in like 2021, I believe, went to the CMU WMU home game when I was home, and I was punched in the face by a drunk guy. And I wasn't doing anything. I just kind of turned over and made eye contact with him, and he went at me in the face. And that kind of sucked. And so that being said, like, I have my own hesitancy towards people drinking during these games because emotions are high. We want the team to win, but I also don't want to be punched in the face again. That kind of sucked. Wasn't that hard, didn't hurt that bad, but like, dang. And then I went to go get some nachos afterwards, so I guess it all ended nicely. But I think the big thing is, I think the university already has plans to have a pub on campus in the new student center where they will be selling alcohol. And so, I would personally see that as kind of a pilot program. How are you going to deal with underage drinkers on campus? Because now you're giving them the opportunity to buy alcohol. So let's see how well Western handles that. And then if this is something that truly might bring extra revenue to these WMU sporting events, I think that is something, if the students want it, well, the students want it. And it's my job as student body president to advocate for it. I just have a little bit of a hesitancy because of my experiences with that at the CMU game.
Thank you. Well, with that question answered, I want to thank both candidates for such a great debate, some really great conversation between both of you, and some great insight as to how we're going to be moving forward with WSA in the future. I also want to thank all of our audience members who have attended today. I so appreciate you taking your time out of your Wednesday night to be here and listen to the people who are going to be leading the future of WSA. I will encourage all of you to vote starting next Monday at 8 a.m. and that'll be going until Friday at 5 p.m. Tell your friends, tell your RSO members, Tell everyone you know that can vote to vote. And with that, I want to conclude this debate. You all have a wonderful evening, and thank you for your attendance at the 2023 Spring WMU Presidential Debate. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone. Make sure to stay safe. I know the roads are really icy. Take care, everyone.
Indeed.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.